Is it okay in the short term to have a recession?
Look, everything's okay. What we are, I said, this is a transition period. I think we're going to do fantastic.
Some Catholics were not so happy about the image of you looking like the Pope.
Oh, I see. You mean they can't take a joke? You don't mean the Catholics. You mean the fake news media. Not the Catholics loved it. I had nothing to do with it. Somebody made up a picture of me dressed like the Pope, and they put it out on the internet. That's not me that did it. I have no idea where it came from. Maybe it was AI, but I know nothing about it. I just saw it last evening. Actually, my wife thought it was cute. She said, "Isn't that nice?"
My question about
Actually, I would not be able to be married, though. That would be a lot. I'd have to the best of my knowledge, popes aren't big on getting married, are they? Not that we know of. No. I think it's the fake news media that, they're fakers.
Donald Trump's brain is mush, and it's time for the 25th Amendment. Plain, simple. Period. We can see very clearly every day that his cognitive decline gets worse and worse and worse. And it's not like there was ever much there to begin with, but now it is getting really scary. And the White House is trying to cover for Donald Trump as this scandal around his declining brain continues to explode. And in one specific clip, it was very clear how the White House was trying to cover for Donald Trump in a way that they attacked the Biden administration for and VP Harris in the past. So it is all blowing up in their face. We're going to get into it. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you, leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we can get into the editing that the White House did and all of the scandals around Donald Trump's broken brain, we got to start with this clip right here, which just shows how bad it is.
We had a little conversation. I think it's going to be very interesting. We'll see if we can bring it back in large form, add a lot. But I think it represents something. Right now it's a big hulk that's sitting there rusting and rotting. You look at it, it's sort of, you saw that picture that was put out, it's sort of amazing. But it sort of represents something that's both horrible and beautiful and strong and miserable, weak. It's got a lot of qualities that are interesting, and I think they make a point.
We're going to bring it back in large form and a lot, and both strong and beautiful and horrible and miserable and weak are some of the most absurd Trump quotes I've ever heard. We're going to bring it back in large form and a lot. What does that even mean? And it was pointed out on the Midas Touch network that the reason that Donald Trump decided ostensibly to bring back Alcatraz is because there was a movie playing in Palm Beach on TV about Alcatraz this weekend. This is a literal TV presidency, and I am so tired of living through it. But it's not just Donald Trump being influenced by the media he's constantly consuming that really shows that this is an old man who needs to be a home, and that home should not be the White House. It's his complete separation from reality. Just listen to this right here.
The best numbers we've ever had. Just think of that. It's not even possible. Inflation's down, all costs are down, everything is down other than, as Tristan said, the thing that you carry the babies around in, but that's up 3%. Energy's down, gasoline's down. Nobody's ever seen anything far ahead of schedule. So people that were paying a lot for groceries, they're paying a lot less. And interest rates are even down. We have a very stubborn Fed, but Fed should lower, but that's okay. But interest rates are down, mortgage rates are down, and pretty amazing. We've done, I don't think there's ever been a better opening 100 days. We have a lot of fake polls where they interview Democrats, not Republicans, but meaning more Democrats.
He doesn't know what a stroller is. He can't come up with words or phrases. It's why he loves tariffs so much, because he can just say tariff and just throw out numbers without any real meaning. And it is why there is growing concern about Donald Trump's brain, which was pointed out in this article right here. And then we're going to get to the White House and their response lately. MSNBC aging slurring. Trump lives in fear of dad's dementia. Donald Trump lives in fear of suffering the same cognitive decline his father did. According to a brutal assessment by an MSNBC guest, the weekend primetime welcomed Timothy O'Brien, senior executive editor of Bloomberg Opinion, to discuss Trump's musings about a third term in office. The political analyst speaking on the second installment of the show after its debut on Saturday said the president's motivation has always been either self-aggrandizement or self-preservation. O'Brien added, however, that he doesn't believe Trump will actually run again, even though he'd love to live until he's 300, and I think he'd like to be president for 200 more years if he could. However, the 78-year-old's vitality has visibly waned and is acutely aware of his mortality. The panelist added, "As I was watching that clip, one of the things that really struck me, Donald Trump has aged. Despite Trump's musings, the amendment prohibits Donald Trump or anyone who's been elected twice from being elected again. Age and his family's track record with brain disease should be his primary concern, though." O'Brien suggested he lives in fear of going down the path his father went down, which was dementia followed by Alzheimer's, into his 90s, and I think he's carried that burden forever. Speaking of Donald Trump's father, he said he came in the office every day until the day he went to the hospital. Trump Jr. reportedly avoids talking about his touchy subject, partly because he bashed his predecessor Joe Biden for allegedly being cognitively impaired, but also because he fears this could be his fate, too. While it seems like it already is Donald Trump's fate, his brain is falling apart. It couldn't be clear that he is cognitively unfit to be president. He was never fit to be president. And even the smartest version of Donald Trump, which is a pretty dumb version of anyone, is nowhere near fit to be president. And like I said, tariffs are the perfect example. It is a word he throws around to pretend that he's tough without any understanding of the implications of what is happening. And what is happening now is a recession. A man-made one because of Donald Trump, and the White House understands that Trump doesn't understand that. And so when he was pressed in an interview on Meet the Press, Donald Trump's answer was trimmed down by the White House, and we can see that in this clip right here.
Are you comfortable with the country potentially dipping into a recession for a period of time if you are able to achieve your long-term goals?
Well, you say some people on Wall Street say, well, I like to tell you something else. Some people on Wall Street say that we're going to have the greatest economy in history.
Is it okay in the short term to have a recession?
Look, everything's okay. What we are, I said, this is a transition period. I think we're going to do fantastically.
Of course, Trump has promised an economic boom on day one. As for a windfall from those tariffs, if that's what he's referring to, that's not something people on Wall Street have thought about, at least in terms of a windfall.
Aaron, one word I heard there from the president, it's something we've been hearing really all week, a transition. We're in a transition period. The economy is going to be in a transition period. That was not a word that was used when Donald Trump was running for office. There was no mention of a transition period through his tariff policies.
So, the White House trimmed down that interview with Donald Trump and Kristen Welker in its post to just end on Donald Trump saying, no. Some people think the markets are going to be amazing, and by some people, he means his yes-men stooges and himself when he's looking into the mirror, putting on his, 2 pounds of makeup every morning. Those are the only people who think the market's going to be great. Remember Donald Trump's biggest media obsession? And there were lots of them during the campaign. It was about 60 minutes editing their interview with Vice President Harris. Something that happens with every interview. You have to edit it down for time. Well, now the White House is editing interviews and it's not for time. You could post the full thing on Twitter. They're doing it to make Donald Trump look better and to avoid playing the moments in which he just admits the truth that he is screwing us all over. So now they're trying to protect him and defend him not only from his own brain, but the stupidity of his own mouth. And that's the thing they attacked Vice President Harris for. That's the thing that they would always attack Joe Biden for, saying he didn't do enough press, or their interviews were cut up, or they didn't show the full clip when it was in fact Trump and all of MAGA playing misleading clips of Joe Biden. So now what? Now your brain doesn't work. Now you have to chop up your interviews in a certain way. What are you gonna attack anyone with? You are falling apart. You have taken your eye off the ball whenever that you are actually playing a game that was going to result in anything positive. But this is the Republican Party, a complete clown show run by an idiot with no interest in actually governing for anyone but the billionaire class. And that came across incredibly clearly in a hearing in which Republicans decided they didn't want to govern, and Democrats were calling him out in full force for it.
Citizens, simply because you do not want to vote against something that Donald Trump may support. Do you have a thought of your own? Do you have a belief of your own? Or is everything literally just whatever Donald Trump tells you it should be? You are going to vote no on this. We know you're going to vote no. And I'm interested to see, if anybody asks you why you voted no on this, how you're going to spin it. You may say, oh, well, United States citizens aren't detained or deported. False. False. By ICE, that is. They have routinely been falsely detained and held.
Cheaper eggs. Fair. Costs were going up. People were anxious, and they wanted to see the goods that they were buying at the grocery store, at Home Depot, at Walmart. They wanted to see the costs come down. The president promised that he would lower costs on day one. That is a quote. I will lower costs on day one. He is 0 for 100. He's 0 for 100. That's how it started. How it started, how it's going. This is how it's going. The president deported a 4-year-old American citizen with cancer, stage 4 cancer, took him away from his American citizen father and his American cancer treatment. People just wanted cheap eggs. And now you're deporting kids with cancer.
Tweeting during a congressional committee hearing. That is not a shock to hear from Republicans. But again, these are people who have no interest in real governing unless it is helping their billionaire buddies or the giant corporations that fund their campaigns. That is what these people are all about. They don't actually take this seriously. They don't take your life seriously. They don't take your needs seriously. Donald Trump doesn't know what a stroller is. Of course, he doesn't care about child care or the future of America. He is focused on himself in any given moment, which is kind of funny considering he doesn't understand this current moment or how people are reacting to his policies, which Jessica Tarlov broke down right here.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. And it's going to be an issue. And Democrats are talking about this constantly and know that whoever runs is going to be the candidate, or in this huge primary that we're inevitably going to have, that there are going to be some questions asked about 2024. And for people who went out there and vouched for Biden, what did you know and when did you know it? And a lot of people are about to make, big money on these books, exposing what they knew and that they held until after the election so that they could get that sales just right. But I gotta say that for as bleak of a picture as Tommy is painting of what is going on in the Democratic Party, we are up 4 to 7 points on the generic ballot right now. Donald Trump is underwater on every single important metric, including immigration overall. He's up on when it comes to deportations and securing the border. But when people look at his immigration policy writ large, they don't like what they're seeing. The American public knows that a Abrego Garcia issue, it's about due process, and it's not about the man himself, that there are many innocent people that are in that prison in El Salvador who don't deserve to be there. So he's not managing the economy well. Everyone knows that a tariff is a tax on the American consumer. He's too focused on, tariffing the movie industry.
I don't hear a lot of people crying tears over Abrego Garcia.
Well,
but,
it's 2-1 favoring bringing him back, and then deport him under proper channels, but don't send him to a prison for a life sentence without going in front of a judge for that.
All right, quick thought, Tommy.
It's not surprising that the people who like to ban books don't get math. But yeah, this is a losing issue for you, and it will continue to be as long as Democrats make it an issue, which we should, because it's not just about politics. It's about this man's human rights and right to due process. That's why we're going to be talking about this stuff every single day on the show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.